Imagine a world at the peak of its power. In the heart of the 17th century, one nation stood above the rest, not through sheer size, but through innovation, trade, and an unmatched command of the seas. This was the Dutch Republic in early 1672. Its cities, like Amsterdam, were the bustling centers of global commerce, where spices from the East, silver from the Americas, and ideas from across the continent flowed freely. Merchant ships, flying the Dutch tricolor, dominated the world's oceans, their holds filled with treasures that made the Republic one of the wealthiest states in Europe. It was a golden age, built on hard work, maritime genius, and a spirit of republican freedom that was rare in a continent of kings. The Dutch seemed invincible, a testament to what a small but determined nation could achieve. But the very light of this golden age was casting long, dark shadows across Europe. As the sun rose over the tranquil canals and warehouses of Amsterdam, few could have imagined that within months this prosperous nation would be fighting for its very existence, on the verge of being wiped off the map entirely. This is the story of the Rampjaar, the year of disaster. The storm that broke over the Dutch Republic in 1672 was not a spontaneous squall. It was a meticulously engineered hurricane, conceived in the shadowy halls of Europe's most powerful monarchies. At the heart of this conspiracy were two formidable rivals, King Charles II of England and the Sun King himself, Louis XIV of France. On the surface, an alliance between them seemed unlikely. They were historic enemies. But they shared a common obstacle to their ambitions, the Dutch Republic. For King Charles, the motive was personal and political. He harbored a deep resentment towards the Dutch, who had humiliated the English navy in a previous war. He also secretly yearned to restore Catholic influence in England and saw the Protestant Dutch as a major impediment. He needed money and military might, and Louis was willing to provide both. Louis XIV's ambitions were far grander. He dreamed of a France that dominated all of continental Europe. The wealthy, independent, and strategically located Dutch Republic stood directly in his path. It was a frustratingly successful model of republicanism that implicitly challenged his own absolute monarchy. Through a series of secret negotiations, culminating in the clandestine Treaty of Dover, these two kings set aside their differences. They forged a secret pact, a promise to dismantle their shared rival. This wasn't just a plan for war, it was a blueprint for annihilation. While the Dutch went about their business, confident in their strength, the gears of a massive war machine were quietly turning in London and Paris. So, why did the Dutch Republic become such an irresistible target? Why did Europe's giants unite to crush this small nation? The answer, in a word, was success. The Dutch were simply too successful to be tolerated. Their economic dominance was breathtaking. They controlled a vast share of global shipping, acting as the cargo haulers for all of Europe. The Amsterdam Stock Exchange was the world's first and most important financial center, driving a new kind of capitalism that left older, feudal economies in the dust. This immense wealth translated directly into power. The Dutch Navy was arguably the most formidable in the world, a force that had repeatedly bested the English at sea. For England, a fellow maritime nation, this was an unbearable rivalry. The English saw the Dutch as upstarts who had stolen their rightful place as masters of the waves. Every Dutch merchant ship was a symbol of lost English profit and prestige. For France, the threat was different, but no less acute. Louis XIV's plans for territorial expansion were constantly frustrated by Dutch diplomacy and financial power. The Dutch Republic acted as a key barrier, preventing France from easily swallowing the Spanish Netherlands, modern-day Belgium. They were a Protestant republic on the border of his Catholic kingdom, a thorn in the side of his vision for a unified, Catholic, French-led Europe. Essentially, the Dutch had built a system that worked well, and in doing so, they had made enemies of everyone who wished to take their place. They were a roadblock to English maritime dreams and French continental ambitions. The verdict was in. The Dutch Republic had to go. The attack, when it came, was swift, coordinated, and overwhelming. It was a multi-front invasion designed to break the Republic in a single campaign. From the south, Louis XIV unleashed his massive, superbly trained army. French forces poured across the border, bypassing major fortifications and plunging deep into Dutch territory with terrifying speed. Cities that had stood for centuries fell one after another. Panic began to spread like wildfire. Simultaneously, from the sea, the combined fleets of England and France launched their assault. Their goal was to destroy the Dutch navy, blockade the coast, and choke off the trade that was the Republic's lifeblood. The North Sea became a massive battleground where the fate of nations would be decided. But the assault didn't stop there. The anti-Dutch coalition had also enlisted allies from the east. The Prince-Bishop of Münster and the Elector of Cologne, German principalities armed and funded by France, launched their own invasions, adding to the chaos and stretching the Dutch defenses to their absolute limit. The tiny republic was now surrounded, fighting for its life against four enemies at once. France was attacking by land, England by sea, and their German allies were closing in from the east. The Dutch were caught in a strategic nightmare, a closing vice with seemingly no escape. As enemy armies advanced, the pressure from without triggered a catastrophic collapse from within. The Dutch government, a complex system of decentralized power led by the statesman Johan de Witt, was paralyzed by the speed of the invasion. For years, de Witt had focused on naval power, neglecting the land army in the belief that no invasion could succeed. He was proven tragically wrong. As news of defeat after defeat reached the cities, public confidence evaporated. Fear turned to anger, and the population, terrified and looking for someone to blame, turned on its leaders. Riots erupted in the streets of Holland. Political divisions, long simmering beneath the surface, exploded into open conflict. Supporters of the House of Orange, who wanted to see the young Prince William, the third given supreme command, clashed violently with the ruling Republican faction. The war was no longer just at the borders, it was tearing the Republic apart from the inside. This internal chaos was as dangerous as any foreign army. The social fabric of the nation began to unravel. Lynch mobs formed, and in a horrific act of political violence, Johan de Witt and his brother were brutally murdered by an angry crowd in The Hague. The Dutch Golden Age had descended into a frenzy of fear, blame, and internal strife. The nation was on the brink of complete disintegration. Just as all seemed lost, with the French army poised to march on Amsterdam, the Dutch people turned to their last, most desperate defense. It was a strategy born of their unique relationship with the land. They would surrender parts of their country to the sea to save the rest. This was the Dutch waterline, a chain of fortifications connected by areas of land that could be deliberately flooded. With the enemy approaching, the Dutch opened the dikes. Seawater rushed inland, transforming the flat polders into a vast, impassable lake. The French advanced ground to a halt, their cavalry and cannons bogged down in the mud and water. The flooding bought the Republic precious time. In this moment of crisis, a new leader emerged. The 22-year-old William of Orange was given full power as stadtholder. He became the symbol of national resistance, rallying the panicked population with his iron will and determination. The mood began to shift. Panic gave way to a grim resolve. Under William's leadership, the battered Dutch navy, commanded by the brilliant Admiral Mitchell de Ruyter, managed to fight the Anglo-French fleet to a standstill in a series of daring battles, preventing a seaborne invasion. The nation, which had been on the verge of surrender, had found its survival instinct. In 1672, Europe's great powers united to erase the Dutch Republic from the map. They failed. The year of disaster, the Rampjaar, did not end with the destruction of the Dutch. Instead, it became a pivotal turning point in European history. By surviving, the Dutch Republic fundamentally altered the balance of power. The failed invasion exposed the limits of Louis XIV's ambitions and galvanized a coalition of European states against French expansion. The war turned William of Orange into a major European statesman who would spend the rest of his life leading the fight against Louis. Ironically, this would eventually lead him to the English throne, where he would forge a lasting alliance between the two former naval rivals. The Dutch Republic emerged from the war-scarred and economically weakened, its golden age tarnished. Yet it had survived. The experience reshaped its national identity, reinforcing a sense of resilience and defiant independence. The year of disaster had become the year of survival, a testament to a small nation's refusal to be extinguished. It proved that even when faced with overwhelming odds, a people united in the defense of their homeland could hold back the tide. Thank you for watching. If you found this story fascinating, please like, subscribe, and follow for more dives into the dramatic moments that shaped our world.